other person who's in the news this week as an obvious contender for the nomination is Gavin Newsom, who went on Sean Ryan's podcast and absolutely dissembled over the question of transition procedures and surgeries on minors as young as...
Gavin Newsom acts like leadership is about style over substance, more hair gel than hard work. To him, California feels less like a state and more like a stage where he plays the role of America's most glamorous governor. But Megyn Kelly isn't buying it. She cuts through the image, calling him out as someone who turns disasters into photo ops and mistakes into a brand. Newsom speaks like a visionary, but as Kelly points out, he's really just a slick salesman pushing a product that falls apart the moment you look closely.
He went from people who liked Gavin Newsom, liberals, saying, I have a very favorable opinion of him. At 46%, it fell to 30%. So Charlie's correct. He's hurting himself with his liberal base by doing these interviews of people like Charlie and Steve and Michael Savage. It's because the thing about Gavin Newsom is he's not very good at pushing back. So he's not going in there and doing battle with the Charlies and the Bannons of the world. He's somewhat...
Kelly doesn't just stop at Newsom's image, she goes straight for the core contradiction. He brands himself as a progressive savior, yet under his watch, California has seen one of the biggest exoduses of people and businesses in recent history. Tech billionaires, middle-class families, and small mom-and-pop shops alike are leaving the state in droves. The reason: rising taxes, endless regulations, and a declining quality of life. Kelly frames Newsom as a governor who talks big but couldn't even run a lemonade stand, let alone manage the fifth largest economy in the world.
Few years, I'm trying to understand as much as anyone else. Whole pronoun thing, trying to understand all of that. Well, that was like the hell. I mean, all that stuff. I get it.
Oh my God. First of all, his hands are flailing. He gets so nervous and he can't stop moving his hands, right? It's to tell I'm uncomfortable and I'm probably lying too. Hands above the midline moving.
Now, let's talk about Newsom's obsession with optics. He doesn't really govern, he poses. Picture him in the middle of a wildfire, smoke everywhere, and he's still checking for the cameras. Kelly calls out that vanity, pointing out the harsh reality while Californians are struggling with blackouts and unsafe streets. Their governor is busy polishing his image for a White House run he pretends isn't happening. He says he's committed to California, but Kelly exposes the truth. Newsom is rehearsing for the national stage and using his state's chaos as a stepping stone.
7% said that the snippets harmed their perception of the governor. So in other words, 26% overall said it harmed their perception of him. And among liberals, 37% said it harmed my perception of the governor. Among those who have very favorable opinions of Gavin Newsom, he lost.
Kelly makes it clear this isn't just bad leadership, it's hypocrisy. Newsom told Californians to mask up, shut down, and sacrifice for the greater good. Yet during the height of restrictions, he was caught dining at one of the most exclusive restaurants in the country. The French Laundry scandal wasn't a simple mistake, it revealed exactly who he is. For Newsom, the rules are for everyone else. He treats California like his kingdom, enjoying luxuries while everyday people struggle. Kelly cuts through the excuses and reminds viewers, real leadership isn't about issuing orders. It's about setting the example yourself.
To start this, and the reason he's smart to start it is because he has no muscles, Emily. None. He's a sinewy little weakling when it comes to arguing any of these issues, especially cultural issues, because he, like all liberals, has never had to do it. So now he's trying to get his training, which is smart on his part, and it would be smart on the part of conservatives to say no, because they declined to help him get in shape before the big bout. We're supposed to be helping Rocky, not...
But Kelly doesn't stop there. She calls out how Newsom hides behind progressive slogans while doing little to fix the real crises in California. Homelessness has exploded under his watch, tent cities spreading across sidewalks, neighborhoods taken over, streets littered with needles, and crime leaving residents on edge. And what does Newsom do? He throws money at the problem like confetti, then poses for cameras to show how much he cares. Kelly cuts through the performance, exposing his so-called solutions as nothing but stagecraft expensive, smoke and mirrors that distract from the harsh reality nothing is getting better.
Come on, man. I mean, I get it. Those are legit, period. The issue of age, and as someone who's been so focused on LGBT and gay marriage, the trans thing, I just I've been thinking about the pronouns. Yeah, that's how he answered that question, Rich. Are you okay with the surgical procedures on an 8-year-old?
And when failure hits, Newsom never owns it, he deflects. Kelly calls him out for constantly blaming others. Republicans, Washington, climate change, corporations, the economy, anyone but himself. Every leader faces tough challenges, but Newsom has turned excuses into an art form. Wildfires, homelessness, businesses leaving the state, it's always someone else's fault. In his world, he's the misunderstood genius, sabotaged by forces beyond his control. Kelly shatters that narrative, reminding viewers that real leaders don't outsource responsibility. If you can't handle the pressure, you shouldn't take the job. And then there's the arrogance. Newsom struts onto TV with the smugness of a man who looks like he's auditioning for president. He denies it, plays coy, but Kelly points out the obvious: his entire performance is designed to be the Democratic Party's backup plan.
Because when you listen to him, you would think he's a moderate, but he's not. On the trans stuff and virtually every other subject, he is as radical as they come. He is another Kamala Harris. But there's something about him, maybe he's a people pleaser, a vintage politician. When he gets across from these are our war fighters. And truly, the three I met.
Newsom knows Trump projects strength and that the Democrats don't have many strong contenders. So he positions himself as the polished alternative, the guy who looks like he belongs on a magazine cover. But Kelly tears that image apart, making it clear America doesn't need another pretty face. It needs someone who delivers results. She shows how Newsom hides behind buzzwords like equity and bold vision, but when it comes time to act, Californians get higher taxes, broken promises, and more people moving out. Kelly drives the point home. Leadership is measured by results, not speeches. And in Newsom's case, the results are disastrous. What makes her critique so cutting is the way she makes him look absurd. Governor turning California's crises into photo ops. Wildfires raging, he strikes a heroic pose. Homelessness spreading, he gives a speech about compassion. Kelly exposes the show for what it is: empty theater.
California is these mealy-mouthed, kale-eating, broccoli-pushing, Birkenstock, whatever, wearing politicians who can't find another person fast enough to blame. My absolute favorite, though, is the fire chief. She's growing on me. When she's not focusing on her lesbianism, she's actually quite fierce. She is not going down without bringing Mayor Karen Bass with her.
Businesses are shutting down, yet Newsom's answer is always another flashy plan with no real results. He governs like politics is theater, and Kelly rips the curtain down to expose the dysfunction behind the scenes. While he's busy polishing his national image, Californians are voting with their feet. Families, workers, and business owners leaving the state in record numbers. Kelly makes it clear this isn't just data, it's a verdict. People have lost faith in their governor. And as Newsom sets his sights beyond Sacramento, she reminds everyone that his record will follow him wherever he goes. He built his brand on being the slickest man in the room, smiling through chaos and selling failure as if it were part of the plan. But Kelly cuts through the act, showing that this isn't leadership, it's an audition. And somehow, despite failing every test, he's still on stage.
Be so measured, and you're going to have that flailer with the hands and the stuttering and the come on, man, pulling the Joe Biden, come on, man. It didn't work for Biden, and it's not going to work for Newsom. I'm just seeing the runway of how the Republicans' chances are going to look. And right now I'm feeling good. Not necessarily about the midterms, but about the presidential race. Here's another thing. It's a little off point on the trans issue, but a great moment where Sean asked Gavin Newsom about why they were so able to very quickly clean up the city of San Francisco when Chinese President Xi Jinping came.
California under Gavin Newsom has become one of America's biggest contradictions. The Golden State has turned into a land of tents, needles, and boarded-up shops. And Megyn Kelly says the reason is simple. Newsom is more focused on polishing his image for the national stage than solving the crises in his own backyard. He struts around as if he's destined for higher office, but the reality is, he can't even manage the job he has. It's like bragging about running a marathon when you can't make it past your driveway. Kelly zeroes in on his obsession with appearances, from the slicked back hair that looks dipped in motor oil, to the perfectly rehearsed sound bites that sound inspiring but say nothing. He's the human version of a glossy magazine cover. Shiny on the outside, empty on the inside. And Kelly's critique hits hard because she reminds people that California doesn't need a model, it needs a manager. Take homelessness. Billions spent every year, and yet the tents multiply faster than campaign flyers in election season.